Okay guys, we've all ran across this, and oh, by the way, this is Christa and this is Christa's Dress Shop. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much for all those who have subscribed, who are always commenting, such wonderful comments. Today I'm coming to you with a very short video. What happens, we've all run into it, when your mannequin doesn't fit the dress. So there's many options for different things, but right now I'm doing a hem on a bridesmaid's dress and I can't quite get my hem to fit. Now I used to have mainly two mannequins. At one time I had three, where I had a really tiny one, I had kind of a mid-range one, and I had what they considered a plus size one. And even with all three of those, I ran into dresses that didn't fit one direction or another. And these cheap mannequins, many of you guys have asked, I just get them. They're not cheap. They were probably $200–300 at your local fabric store. You could probably get them online. They're adjustable. However, if my first couple mannequins, I actually tried adjusting them all the time to each of my customers, and the parts are made out of plastic, so they broke. So now those I don't even have. I only have one. I would love to be able to afford multiple mannequins, and I'd love one in every size, but also space is a problem. So, or maybe you just don't even have a mannequin yet and you haven't been able to purchase one yet. It's okay, because I did hems before I had a mannequin. And so I'll show you one quick way here on this bridesmaid's dress behind me. So throw out the mannequin. Okay, this is going to be easier if I'm behind the camera and kind of showing you what I was doing. This particular one, I just got a couple non-slip hangers, and I was able to put one on each shoulder, but I wanted them completely spread out evenly so that my hem would hang evenly. Now the problem is that every body type is different, and so on chiffon dresses, if they have larger hips, or if they are, have a larger rear end, it's going to hang different. So I have gone through on the customer and pinned in key spots. So here I've pinned on each of the side seams, and then you can see my pins. This is the floor on her. So I've gone around, especially there's a slit here. So on either side of that slit, I've made sure that I pinned, and then again on this side seam over here. And then let's come into I'm in the dressing room now. Down here, I pinned, and actually you can see there's a lot less I need to take off. And that probably has to do with the fact that maybe she fills it out a little bit more here in the back. So I've just laid key pins all the way across. Now the ultimate thing would be is if I pinned all the way around every so many inches, and then I could just go ahead and do it. But sometimes you end up with people who can't stand that long. And also I have had a back injury and I can't always be on my hands and knees that long. So I like to check it either on my mannequin, or in this case, I'm going to check it while it's hanging midair. You can also, if you see, I've got hooks on my ceiling. Some people like to put chains coming down off of those hooks. You can do something like that. But I really love, this is my dressing room curtain. It has a nice sturdy bar, so I use it a lot to hang stuff up. So let me put it back on the stand, the camera back on the stand, and I'll show you what I'm going to do down here. Okay, here I am in front of the dress, and I was using my ladder to actually make sure that those shoulders are exact and everything is hanging really close to exact. Then I have this tool here I just got at the fabric store. It actually sits on the floor, and then you can adjust this to people's height of where they want the hem. This is great for if you're taking a long dress and you're turning it to knee length. You can actually lock it in at her knee length, and then you can walk around completely around her. And this poofs white chalk. The problem is on wedding dresses, that doesn't work as well. So I usually just set this around, and as I go around, I just put my pin right at that spot right there. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of just checking my my pins here. And the first thing I did is check my side seams. I went back and forth and made sure that they were the same. They were slightly off, so I went ahead and evened those out because there wasn't enough of a change to warrant the fact that maybe she was standing crooked or anything. And then I also went across here and was checking those, and I noticed that there was a section right here that's kind of lower, and I think that's on purpose from my memory of her standing in it. So I'm going to be really careful that I go ahead and give it a little length right there. And then I've gone around the back. And then all I have to do is, at least I know from this pin, let me bring you in a little closer. So I do know that right here at the slit, these two are identical, so that's good. I'll lock that in, and actually I can use my little poof and poof that. I got a little too much there, but that's okay. It powders right off. Let me see. Okay. This one is pretty close. Doing a little line. That's about what you do right there. It has a loose powder. So I'm actually going to do in between those two pins. Okay. Some of you are probably laughing who have used these and know that they go everywhere, and you probably have some keys to doing a better job with that. So you can see I've got actual lines everywhere that I'm going to go. And I think this is where, no, it actually is pretty right on. I'm going to go ahead, since this pin here and that pin over there is the same, I'm going to go ahead and mark it all the way between those two. Okay, and I'll probably end up going through that and put a little pin there just so as I'm getting it on the sewing machine I don't lose those marks. But that's pretty safe to say. It's the side seam that goes a little longer. I don't know if you can see this, the side seam, let me. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of go with where the side seam is, go a little lower. You want to make sure that's straight down. I'm trying to pull it for the camera, but you don't want it to be pulled towards you or anything. And then I think I'm going to just fade this to get a little bit longer, and I think that's just because as we enter the back. So what that's telling me is that I've got the same, I don't know if you can see that on camera, the extra poof down here isn't it, but it's the little line that goes across. And then I'm going to fade in to be part of this lower. So I'll probably take that and just slowly fade it right through there. And same with the other side, because I think this starts to get lower. Gotta find my side seam. There we go. And I'm gonna make both those side seams. They were pretty close anyway, so it's not gonna hurt if I just make them both identical. That way both the side seams are the same. And go a little bit. So right about here is where I've got to start really fading that in. So I'm going to do the same for the back, and then I'm also going to carefully lift this up, and some of it's already marked through on my lining, but I'm going to make sure that it's all marked at the right length as well. So like right here, I'm going to separate my layers. And I'll pin that. And you can actually see it on this layer a little bit better, because on more of a lining or a satin, you can really see that. See, it's not this extra poof down here. And this is right where it just kind of shot through for the thing, but that's the true line. And then just kind of also, as it lays here, I can see through the mark in the lining, and I know they're landing right on, so I'll probably make my lining just a little shorter than marked, and then I'll make this at the mark. Let me do the back. Okay, it's pretty dark I'm in the dressing room on the other side, but you can see my back seam here, I'm going quite a bit longer. So I'm going to adjust that down without pulling it forward. I keep wanting to pull it forward for you guys on the camera. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the little bit longer side. The back is always nice to have a tad longer anyway. You don't want to have a short, you don't want to have it rising up in the back. Okay, and then it looks like we start to get, so I'm going to look at my seam here and go about even. At this point, I think I'm going to start climbing back up to meet this section here. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay guys, I hope that helps. Just another idea. I think every single one of your alterations, you have to just come up with something creative to make it work. And each dress seems to have its own challenges. And so I think that's why we're so good as seamstresses, is that we kind of hit a challenge and then we come up with something creative to kind of battle that challenge that we have. So hope that gives you an idea. I know there are many of you guys that have different ideas of maybe how you do it. With the chiffon hems, it is hard to measure them out. You can to a certain point, but sometimes they hang long and short. So when I first started, I would say, okay, we're taking 2 inches off, and I would take 2 inches off all the way around, and then they would have these highs and lows, and it was a big mess. And so I've learned I don't officially measure. I will kind of eyeball it and say, okay, or look at it and say, you know, something's off here. I'm like way out of, you know, maybe when you were measuring them and they were standing in it, what happens a lot is they're standing really good for a little bit, and then they turn towards talking to their sister or somebody who's with them in the fitting, or they do this or they do this, or a lot of them I've noticed their legs get tired, And so sometimes I give them a little break because otherwise they kind of lean. So they don't know it, but when they switch legs and lean like that, they're changing our hem marking. So if something's like really like off, you know that they don't have some kind of strange shape or a crooked back or something like that. You know that when you measured them, they looked fine, and something's off. That's why I check it on my mannequin, or that's why I check it here, is to make sure that I wasn't pinning something and they leaned in and I pinned it too short or something. So always check your work. I like to check it and check it and check it, but that's my personality. I'm a little type A. So love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Happy sewing, and we'll see you in the next video.